Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here, and today we're going to break down all the ter'angreal we've seen so far in season 3 of the Wheel of Time. If you haven't read the books in a while, this should refresh your memory. But before we get into it, this will obviously contain book spoilers. And if you'd like to keep in touch, you can find me on Blue Sky, Discord, and Instagram. Also, if you would like to help support the channel, check out Road to Valon on Patreon or YouTube memberships. Special thanks to my channel members Luna, Mike, and Richard, and also my newest Patreon member, Antoine. Thanks so much for your support. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to point out is that we've already seen many ter'angreal in the television show, and some of these objects of the One Power are new or invented for TV only. So when I'm breaking down this list, I'm going by what I know from the books, and these are all my best guesses. Some are a given, while others are a little harder to pin down. We won't know for sure until season 3 airs. Also, another thing to remember is that there are 3 different types of objects of the One Power. An ter'angreal allows someone who can channel to draw more of the One Power. A Sakarnen does the same thing, but it's super boosted. Where ter'angreal are powerful, ter'angreal are much more powerful and much more rare. Lastly, we have ter'angreal. Now, ter'angreal help the user perform a specific task, and they can sometimes be used by people who cannot channel. All of these items are rare, some are dangerous, and because so much time has passed since they were made, sometimes their abilities are completely unknown. And the first on our list is this iron disc from the 13th depository that we see in the sneak peek of episode 1 in season 3. In the books, this is called the iron disc Sleepweaver, and it's described as a simple iron disc that has been untouched by rust. It is engraved with a tight spiral on both sides, and when someone channels into it, the user will fall asleep and enter ter'angreal. Now, the purpose of all Sleepweavers is to allow the user to enter the world of dreams while sleeping. But they differ by shape, material, and requirements. Sometimes you need to channel spirit into Sleepweavers, other times no channeling is required. And the iron disc ter'angreal is one that does require the user to channel. Now the next item we see is this dark rod-shaped item paired next to a bell-shaped metallic item. And this one is a bit more tricky to pin down because in the Wheel of Time there's an abundance of rods. Robert Jordan was a funny guy, but in my opinion, this item fits the look and description of 2 major items of the One Power. One idea is that this could be the legendary Sakarnen, aka the Instrument of Anguish in the Old Tongue. It's a male ter'angreal used by men who can channel, and this is the second most powerful ter'angreal in the series. In the books, it's described as a scepter with a golden hourglass-shaped goblet that can be fixed to it. This item was so deadly that it was locked away during the War of Power. Its pieces were actually found by the Forsaken Demandred, and afterwards, he is crowned by the Sharans as a part of prophecy. It's a whole big thing, but later this item is given to Mazrim Taim in the last battle when he faces off against Egwene. And this would be wild to see in the show and see it so early, but I'm not ruling it out. This is unexpected. Amber here from the future, and as I was editing this, a new video dropped where Rafe Judkins is interviewed by Sakarnen, where they ask him about challenging props that were used this season. He does mention one, and he says it is wielded by one of the Forsaken, and could this be the Sakarnen? I don't know. We'll leave it here, but later, go watch that interview by Sakarnen. If we look at other options, there is one that also fits really well into the timeline for season 3. And this one is called the Fluted Black Rod. In the books, this is also stolen by the Black Aja, and it's a ter'angreal that can produce balefire. Its most memorable moment is when it's used by Jane of the Black Aja against Nynaeve in the Shadow Rising during Nynaeve and Elaine's heist within the Panarch's palace in Tanchico. It's dangerous and it's difficult to control, but a really cool item. So if this is indeed the fluted black rod, then I think it's safe to say we are going to see balefire this season, and that's pretty awesome. Now, our next item is another object of the One Power that is looted by Naomi. It would appear to most resemble something called the alabaster figurine ter'angreal. In the books, it is also looted by the Black Aja, and this item is described as an unclothed woman made of alabaster. It is also another sleepweaver that can assist someone in entering Tel'aran'rhiod. And with all these sleepweavers, I think it's fair to say we are going to see a lot of meetings in the world of dreams this season. I've also seen some people theorizing this could be one of the access keys to the Choden Call, but we will get to that later because I think we see something that fits that a little bit better, but don't rule it out. Our next object is this item, also in the 13th depository when it was looted by Naomi. It's a dice with different symbols on it. I'm very confident this is the six-spotted dice ter'angreal. In the books, this is also stolen from the White Tower by Liandrin's group. All indications point to this item being able to shape or twist someone's luck or chance, but it's also used by channeling into it. This ter'angreal is introduced during chapter 25 of The Dragon Reborn. Egwene and Nynaeve receive a list from Varen detailing what was stolen, and the dice is on the list. Egwene comments on it saying something like, "You know who would love this thing? Matt Cawthon." Now, in this show, we haven't yet seen any visible manifestations of Matt's luck or the dice rattling in his head or anything like that. So the big question here is, will this go by the book route and will this just be an Easter egg, or will this item be something that is used to prepare viewers for the concept of Matt's luck before it happens? Or will this object actually be something that Matt uses instead of having his inborn luck ability? I can't say. There's too many options, but I do think this looks really cool and I wish I could own one. Prime Video, get on it. Moving on. Let's take a step away from the 13th depository and go to the Aiel Waste, where we see this next object of the One Power. And these are the glass columns of Ruidion. It's a ter'angreal that was given to the Aiel during the breaking of the world, made of clear glass columns that rise 100 feet into the air. It is typically used by men who wanted to be Aiel clan chiefs, and when they enter, the man will see the true origins of the Aiel, but they see it through the eyes of their ancestors. This is a very important item, and it's used by Rand in The Shadow Rising. The next ter'angreal we see is the Three Rings, also located in the Aiel Waste, described as three metallic rings that are arranged vertically in a circle. Now, this item is used by Aiel women who aspire to become wise ones. When they enter, they experience countless possibilities of their own future based on their own choices. The interesting aspect of this is that in the books, we see Moraine enter, but we never get to see firsthand what she experiences. Similar to Liandrin's Black Aja attack on the White Tower, we don't have a point of view account of the events in the books. So I think this is one of those TV show changes that is really exciting and a great way to push Moraine's storyline in the way that gives her plenty to do while remaining true to the story, while expanding on it in an organic way. Really fun to see. Now let's jump back to the 13th depository, and here we can see the twisted stone doorframe ter'angreal. In the books, there are a pair. One is located in Tyr, and the other is located in the Aiel Waste. And these doorways allow someone to enter the world of the Aelfin and Eelfin, also known as the snakes and foxes. Now, this is really exciting because seeing it means it's more likely that we will see Matt Cawthon encounter the Finn. It would take a lot of time and effort to construct this just to be an Easter egg. Also, if we follow the books, this item is incredibly important for Moraine's story. In the Fires of Heaven, she tackles Lanfear through it, and both are assumed to be dead, and we wait almost until the very end of the story for Matt to rescue Moraine. And it's a huge moment. So is this confirmation for the Finn? Let me know what you think. Our next object of the One Power can also be seen in the 13th depository. And this looks very similar to what is called Vora's ter'angreal. In the books, it's described as a white wand about the length of a woman's forearm made of bone or ivory. And it has two really big notable moments. Now remember, this is a ter'angreal, so it's mega powerful. And this one is actually one of the most powerful ter'angreal in the series. Egwene takes possession of it and uses it to defend the White Tower against the Seanchan in the Gathering Storm. The next big moment is when Egwene uses it in the last battle. She uses it against Mazrim Taim, who was wielding the Sakarnen. So in terms of really important ter'angreal, it's one that I would put at the top of the list. Now the next item we see comes from the trailer, and it's a glowing orb used by Moraine. And this gets a little tricky because the only similar thing we have to it in the books is the Choden Call, which are two giant statues of a man and a woman holding a globe-shaped ball. The thing is, these two ter'angreal are the most powerful in the series, and Rand uses them with Nynaeve to cleanse the taint on saidin. But these are used with two access keys to draw out the One Power. What we might see in the show is instead of two giant statues, we just see the access keys and this glowing orb that Moraine uses here. It could be it, but only time will tell. Next up is this item we see in the 13th depository, and this is very likely what the books call the Domination Bands, which is the male version of the item the Seanchan call the Idam. It's an item that the Side of the Shadow plans to use on Rand. It's also something that Nynaeve is able to steal from the Panarch's palace in the Shadow Rising, so it fits nicely into the timeline for this season. And lastly, our final object of the One Power can be seen in one of the new posters for Season 3, which is the Silver Foxhead Medallion. This ter'angreal is given to Matt Cawthon during his encounters with the Finn. When touching the wearer's skin, the medallion disrupts the flows of the One Power, and they will melt away upon contact with the wearer. This is obviously Matt's prized possession, and once he receives it, he almost never takes it off. This object also protects the wearer's dreams. So remember in Season 1 where Ishamael messes with the heads of our Two Rivers boys with nightmares and threats? The Foxhead Medallion blocks that too. The only time Matt, and I should say very reluctantly, takes this ter'angreal off is when Elaine can study it and create replicas of it. But it's a huge part of his story and a really fun part of his character. All right, the last item we can only see for a short glimpse of time, and it is an almost crystal-looking figure placed to the left side of the redstone doorframe. Any ideas on what this one might be? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my videos in the future. A special thanks to my Patreon members and YouTube members for keeping my lights on and allowing me to keep running my channel. This video is dedicated to you. Thanks so much, and I'll see you back next time.